My girlfriend honestly thinks that I cheated on her, all because I said that a female celebrity is attractive. And now I feel like I'm losing my mind because at this point, I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, to start things out, this is not a joke. My girlfriend is a massive overthinker and she has anxiety. Earlier today, my girlfriend asked me to name a celebrity that I thought was attractive. Now, I kept telling her no, I can't think of one, but she kept pushing it. And so I just said the first one that came to mind, which in this situation was Sophie Turner. Well, my girlfriend looked her up and saw what she looked like. Then she said that she looked similar to a girl that I knew years ago. For some backstory, this girl had it out for me for some reason and lied to my girlfriend that I cheated on her with this lady, even though that never happened and there's no proof of it. But I digress. Apparently, because they look similar, that proves that I cheated on her. Mind you, this is years apart from that incident, and somehow that was her immediate reaction. When I started to tell her that that's absolutely absurd, she then asked me why I was getting defensive, and that me being defensive over it further proves it. But it's like, yeah, of course I'm getting defensive. I'm getting accused of cheating because a celebrity that I find attractive looks similar to that girl. Now, she did eventually calm down, but she refuses to see that this was a complete overreaction and told me that she hopes I learned from the conversation we had. But seriously, what did I learn? I didn't even do anything. All I learned was to not answer a question or bring up anything like that, because clearly this was a trap from the very beginning. What should I do? Oh my god, this is so annoying. This is right up there with a girlfriend waking up and being like, oh, I had a dream that you cheated on me, so now I'm pissed off at you. It's like, what are we talking about right now? This is crazy. You're not cheating on anybody just because they had a dream or because you mentioned a celebrity that she wanted to know that you found attractive. There's no connection. It's all separate instances. Like seriously, this is so annoying. So to the original poster, of course you didn't do anything wrong. Your girlfriend's acting like a complete weirdo, and you do not deserve this kind of treatment. If I was in your shoes, I would say something immediately and be like, wait a second, this is so unfair. Because in my opinion, this is not insecurity. This is her literally setting you up for failure. You literally could have mentioned any celebrity that you thought was attractive, and I bet you she still would have been like, oh wow, well this reminds me of that one lady that said you were cheating. So no, you didn't do anything wrong because this behavior, in my opinion, is absolutely unacceptable. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Also, go to amithejerk.com/submit if you would like to submit your own stories. Am I the jerk for implying everyone else in my house eats way too much after I discover that my roommates basically ate all of my food? Because right now they're saying that I'm out of line, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, for a bit of context, the 5 of us share a big house. We are all acquaintances, but not really close friends. But I do think they are all nice people that are really fun to be around. We have basically an open fridge policy for groceries, where we all get groceries, and if it's in the fridge, it's free game other than restaurant leftovers. And honestly, I'm totally fine with this for the most part. That is until recently, when stuff I got for my lunches have been disappearing at an insane rate. I got like a pound of ham, turkey, and provolone, and a loaf of bread, and it was all gone in like 3 days. I brought this up by saying, hey, if all this stuff is gone that much faster than I expected, I have to scramble in the morning to make sure I have something I can bring to work to have for lunch. Well, they all said, well, I thought we had an understanding on this. And I said that I do. I'm totally fine with anyone eating the stuff I buy for sustenance. But the issue I have that I brought up is that people are eating it for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. It's getting ran through so quick because they smoke the herb and just stand there and graze. Or when it's late at night, they come down and eat out of boredom. The 4 of them are rather overweight, and drawing this distinction really hurt their feelings, with them saying, well, who am I to say what food is necessary to eat? I then said that I'm not deciding what is necessary, but I mean, come on. You know, eating 1/3 of a pound of turkey straight out of the bag at 11 o'clock p.m. after having 3 full meals during the day is not sustenance helping you get through the day and stay fueled. I still buy ingredients and snacks and make dinners often because I love cooking for people, but I also bought a mini fridge and I keep the stuff I use to make my lunches in my own room. So am I the jerk for bringing this up? Should I have just got the mini fridge and gone about it quietly? Because right now I'm very frustrated and I seriously don't know what to do. No, I don't think you're the jerk at all, because I think context really matters here. Because you hit the nail on the head. If they're using it for their meals, then fine, but the fact that they're eating it nonstop so quickly is completely ruining any kind of planning that you would have for your meals. Because trust me, I get it. You need to have that figured out, otherwise you're going to be scrambling in the morning. And if you can't make your lunches ahead of time, then you're going to be stuck up a creek trying to figure out what you're going to eat for the day. And that's not fair for you at all, especially after you spend so much money buying that food in the first place. So no, you're definitely not the jerk, because in my opinion, I think your roommates are absolutely eating way too much. Am I the jerk for refusing to buy my son a cosmetic in a video game for a grand total of $300? Because truly, I feel like it's a waste of money, despite the fact that my husband is incredibly upset about it. Here's what happened. Okay, so my son likes to play very popular video games. I've never had any issues with it, as he has not shown any concern so far. But yesterday, he asked me if I could buy him something from the game that truly blew my mind. Normally, I'm not a fan of buying things in video games, but since Christmas is coming up, I was willing to make an exception. I was thinking that it would be around $25 or maybe $50 at most, and I could deal with that if it was that much. But no, this thing was $300. It was for some skin or whatever they call it these days, and essentially it was just so he would look cool in-game. My issue is not that I can't afford it, because I easily could. My issue is that he wants something in a video game, something that is essentially useless for that amount of money. I mean, with that much money, I could buy something physically that he could actually use. His father is calling me selfish and unreasonable for not buying him this, telling me to lighten up because it's Christmas, and we actually fought over this a lot. I mean, I tried to calmly explain to him that with $300, we could buy him so many bigger and better things, but instead he just blew up on me. I mean, he was much more upset than my son was. In fact, my son literally could not care less, and he just went back to playing like nothing happened. Now, if he threw a fit over wanting this skin so badly, I would understand my husband's frustration, but that is not the case here, because it really seemed like he could care less either way. I told my husband about his reaction, but he's still insisting that we buy this thing. So am I in the wrong for not wanting to spend so much money on this skin in a literal video game? Because right now, I'm still very confused. No, this is unreasonable. $300 for an in-game skin? Are you kidding me? First of all, I hate the fact that microtransactions are such a big thing in video games nowadays, because it literally feels like you can't get past the main menu without something like that popping up and being like, hey, buy a skin. But for $300, are you kidding me right now? This is literally a cosmetic in a video game. Nothing digital in a video game is ever worth $300 like that, especially if it's some passive cosmetic that doesn't do anything to improve your gameplay. It's also really crazy to me that your husband's like, wait a second, just buy it. You need to buy it right now. Stop being selfish and unreasonable. And that alone kind of makes me believe that he's the one that wants the skin and not the son. Like, it almost makes me wonder, wait a second, did he set his son up so that he could enjoy the skin for the video game? And he's now getting upset because the original poster won't buy it for their son? And sure, I am totally speculating here, but I seriously can't think of any other reason why he would be freaking out in the way that he is. So no, you're not the jerk in this situation, because your husband is being unreasonable, because what he's demanding is absolutely absurd. Would I be the jerk if I returned a birthday gift from my partner for the second year in a row? Because this is literally the second time he's gotten me something that I literally don't want, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Here's what happened. Okay, so my birthday is around the corner, and my partner surprised me with an outing with some close family members at a nice restaurant, and then we went back to our house to cap off the evening with drinks, a cake, and some gifts. As I opened the gifts, I had a smorgasbord of things that would be enjoyed, mostly small snacks like candies or beef jerky, as well as small gift cards for local food places that I can run to on the way home on longer work days, which is instead of worrying about what I'd have to cook when I get home. So all in all, they know me pretty well, but the problem arises with my partner and his gift giving. He is very materialistic, and he thinks that if the gift is not a big or well-known brand, then it is not worth having or giving. For example, one year he got me a coat with a fur-lined hood that, granted, was a nice coat. It was 100% not something I would have ever worn or even showed interest in wearing in the first place. I'm basically like King Midas's pigpen cousin. Everything I touch gets dirty immediately, hence I tried to buy cheaper things that I do not mind getting worn or torn. Another year, he got me a Puma outfit, which consisted of mostly white with some black trim shoes that were a bit too tight, as well as a hoodie that was at least one size too small. I even had to return and get a bigger size shoe, but they did not have the next size up hoodie for that style, which is likely why he got the smaller size at the time. Another time, he got me a Keurig coffee maker, which I had heard good things about, but came to realize it was not ideal for me for two reasons. The first reason was that it was much larger than my current coffee maker, and it would not easily fit on the counter under the shelves. And the second reason is that it would either make a single serving cup via a pod, or an entire pot, which felt like a waste, when I would basically just have 2 cups in the morning. For the Keurig, I ended up telling him to return it, but it was already outside the return window because he had bought it way too early and just had it waiting to give to me. So I ended up giving it to his mother instead, who had a small coffee business at the time, and I really thought that was the end of it until today came around. He got me some nice cologne and a nice hoodie, though it was too small again. However, the main gift he got me was another coffee maker. This time a Ninja brand, but almost the exact same footprint as the Keurig, where it will not easily fit under the shelf, and I'd have to turn it sideways where it is teetering on the sink lip for the plug to reach. He's already made the comment about how it was expensive, and that I better not want to return it like the last one. I feigned excitement since we had other family members over, but after seeing how big it is, and it is likely going to be the same issue as the Keurig, I have no intention of using it. I am 100% fine with my $30 Mr. Coffee, and I do not need one with all the different brewing modes and other bells and whistles. So would I be the jerk if I told him I want to return it while it's still in the return window? What should I do? No, I don't think you're the jerk here. I understand what you're talking about where like he means well, but it seems like he's getting stuff that literally will not fit in your space. So if you did decide to return it, I think going with him and finding something that would fit under the shelf would do a lot of good for the both of you, because at least that way he can know exactly what you're talking about and he can avoid this problem in the future. Am I the jerk for asking my partner for proof of his cancer diagnosis? All because I'm pretty sure he might be lying about having cancer in the first place. But now as a result, he's threatening to break up with me, claiming that he doesn't want to be with someone who doesn't trust him. Here's what happened. So my boyfriend and I got together back in 2019. We have moved in together ever since then, and my boyfriend says he was diagnosed with brain cancer back in 2018. Now, through treatment and taking pill form of medication, the cancer is gone. We're also in the United States. Now, I have seen photos of him where he claimed he was sick, and sure, he does look very thin, but honestly, that's it. I've spoken to mutual friends who said he looked unhealthy during that time, so I wasn't going to assume someone would lie about cancer. I've also never seen him go to some sort of follow-up appointment. I mean, I would be afraid the cancer would return, so I assume you have to see some kind of specialist often. When I'm in the doctor's office with him, he has told me not to bring up the cancer diagnosis. He says it's because he committed insurance fraud in order to receive treatment, and he didn't have the insurance at the time. He has given me the name of the doctor that he saw in 2018 as well as their practice, and it is a local treatment spot, and he has said that they did gene therapy on him. Now, I'm not very knowledgeable with these topics, but I'm also not going to believe someone downright would lie about having cancer, but I do find the lack of follow-ups or further treatment very suspicious. He says his primary care, the medical portal, does not have any information to prove this, and that the only proof would be from the office that he saw back in 2018. But now he is threatening to break up with me because I asked for proof of the diagnosis. He says that he doesn't want to be with someone who doesn't trust him. So am I the jerk for asking for proof? Because right now I don't know what to do. Okay, seriously, based on what you described, I don't blame you for being just a little bit suspicious. You mean to tell me this guy had brain cancer and then suddenly he's fine after so many years later, and he's not seeing some kind of specialist for follow-ups? Not to mention the fact that he can't produce any kind of evidence that he had any kind of treatment? Like seriously, there's no like office note or something like that? I don't know, if I was in your shoes, it would seem really suspicious, because if he really was lying about having cancer, then I would personally be horrified. And I'm not a doctor, but I don't think I've ever heard of anybody getting over brain cancer with medication, let alone the pills that he's describing. Like, I have no idea what this guy's talking about. So sure, that's a red flag, but also the fact that he admitted to like committing fraud. Like, what's going on right now? This guy does not sound like a good person at all. So no, you're not the jerk for asking for some kind of evidence, because this guy, in my opinion, sounds incredibly suspicious. Am I the jerk for being hesitant to pay my friend back for dinner after she invited me to her house to eat dinner with her and her friend? Because right now she's expecting me to pay for groceries used on the meal, and at this point I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. So I have a friend that I'm really close with at college. She's one of those extremely rich international students, and sometimes she acts a bit out of touch, especially with what she did recently. Basically, she wanted to have a cooking night at her apartment, and she invited me and one of her friends to join in. The plan was that we all cook dinner together and then we would all eat. Honestly, I wasn't feeling up to cooking because I had a super long day with classes, so I told her that I won't be able to come. She then sends me photos of them cooking and then photos of the food prepared on the table, and then she called me asking to still join them. Now, I was reluctant, but she was insistent, so I decided why not? So I go to her apartment, and the three of us have a good dinner together. It was actually a lot of fun. However, it got really weird after I went back home and immediately received a text message from her asking me to Venmo her $9.42 for groceries used. My first thought was like, wait, what's happening here? I thought I was being invited to dinner with my friend and not a restaurant. If I knew I was being charged for dinner, I would have had even more reason to stay home. It's even more frustrating because she's eaten dinner at my apartment before, and it never crossed my mind to charge her for it. And I don't know if that's because I came from a low-income background and that I was was taught to be kind when it comes to money. I'm trying to make sense of why she's charging me, and the only thing that comes to mind is that I didn't help them cook and I still ate. And I highly doubt she asked the other person there to Venmo her. Now, like I said, she is very well off. She dropped literally $53,000 on her car all in cash. She's not in some kind of like desperate situation for $9, which makes it more confusing that she would even do this in the first place. Well, she just Venmo requested me, and I really want to know if I'm in the wrong by being hesitant to pay. I definitely will pay because I still value the friendship, but I find this very weird, and at this point, I don't know what to do. Oh man, your friend is a massive jerk. I don't care what kind of financial situation they're in. The fact that she invited you over and expects you to pay for the meal, in my opinion, is so toxic. Why not just say that ahead of time instead of like sneaking up on you and being like, okay, that'll be $9.42, please? Because at that point, I would rather just eat at home. The last thing I need is to be surprised with some kind of bill from a supposed friend. And by the way, friends don't act like this. This doesn't sound like a good friend at all. If my friend invited me over, I wouldn't be like, oh man, I have to pay them for dinner. They would probably be shocked that I'm even trying to pay them back for the food, and would probably just be happy that I came over to eat with them. So if I was in your shoes, I would not take this sitting down. I would say to her, wait a second, you invited me over. If I had known that I would have had to pay going into this dinner, I would have just stayed home. Or at least explained why this is weird and kind of messed up. Because what she's trying to do to you, in my opinion, is very toxic. And if I was in your shoes, there is no way on planet Earth I would ever take this sitting down. Am I the jerk for snapping at my mother after she missed my high school graduation by claiming that she had a headache and that she was too sick to even show up? But despite the fact that she clearly shows favoritism for my younger sister, and she's taken the time to show up for my younger sister over even smaller things than my high school graduation, she now still refuses to see that she did anything wrong. And at this point, I'm incredibly offended and I seriously don't know what to do. Here's what happened. I'm an 18-year-old female and I just graduated yesterday from high school. This is a big moment for me, as I struggled a lot with mental health issues that caused me to have to miss a year of school and have to repeat a year and attend my final years of school almost completely online. Overall, I have completely turned my education around and have finished this year with second place in most of my subjects and an early offer to 2 universities, as well as a scholarship. My mother and I's relationship has been strained recently, as her favoritism for my younger sister has been on an all-time high, with her letting my sister be horrible to me and just letting it slide, including my sister yelling at me when I was having a mental health crisis. I went into my mother's room fully dressed early in the morning, and I asked her why she wasn't dressed as she was still laying in bed. She told me that she had a headache for the past 2 days and doesn't feel well. I asked her if she would still come, and she just said no. She didn't say good luck or anything like that. She just continued to scroll on her phone as I walked out. At my graduation, numerous people asked me where my mom was, and my 2 best friends' parents offered to be my family for the day, as my father also couldn't attend due to work. It felt so disappointing having the people who cheered for me as I did my speech and collected my rewards being people that I had known for less than a year rather than my own family. But regardless, I'm incredibly grateful for them. Once I got back home, she didn't even come to congratulate me. She didn't even acknowledge my existence. That is, until I went into her room and she asked me why I was so grumpy. So I told her that my feelings were hurt that she didn't come to my graduation. She said, well, sorry, but I don't feel well. And I told her that this is a once-in-a-lifetime thing, and that she had pushed through headaches for my younger sister before for other things that were much less important. She now isn't really speaking to me. She still has not asked about how graduation went and barely even acknowledges me. I now just feel so disappointed. We weren't always like this, but our relationship has been deteriorating throughout the year, and I just miss my mom. My older sister said that I need to let it go, as my mom didn't feel well and she said sorry. But I don't feel like this is something a sorry can fix though. 2 months ago, she recently sat in a hot car for an hour after being sick for a week just to attend a sophomore year information session for my younger sister, who by the way didn't even turn up, but even still she couldn't come to my 1-hour graduation inside of an air-conditioned hall. So truly, am I the jerk for reacting in the way that I did and for getting upset that my mom didn't even bother showing up? Because right now, despite it all, I feel incredibly hurt and I now don't know what to do. Wow, this is absolutely unbelievably toxic if you ask me. Your mom not only missed out on the most important day of your life, but she made up this bogus excuse of, oh, I just can't make it, I'm not feeling well. And it's like, are you kidding me, lady? You don't feel well? This is literally one of those monumental moments in somebody's life. Graduating high school is a very big deal. So the fact that she's like, oh, I'm not gonna show up, I have a headache, that is so unacceptable and so uncalled for. Like, you have every right to be pissed off. I know I would be pissed off if my parents missed out on this. Like, I can kind of understand your your dad not being able to make it because of work, even though he could have called out of work for an hour, but the fact that your mom basically tried to ham up the fact that she had a headache and that's why she didn't want to go, but also didn't bother to congratulate you or make a bigger deal out of this when you got home, that for me would probably hurt the most, because this really should be celebrated. You fought through unbelievable odds just to make this happen, even after having to repeat a year and going through a mental health crisis. So yes, you are completely justified in feeling the way that you do right now, and the fact that your mom chose not to show up, in my opinion, is absolutely unacceptable. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist at the top of the description. And if you want some chill music to put on in the background, check out easymode.com. If you like Am I the Jerk, subscribe to Am I the Genius. Everything will be linked down below in the description.